So it is MBA FE 6101 OB revision class. The syllabus is little bulky. It consists of 9 units, and in brief manner, I will be covering the content of 9 units, right? So unit 1 is introduction to OB, and then in unit 2 we have individual related components like perception, personality, attitude, value, and emotions. Then we have one topic related to interpersonal relationship, followed by motivation, leadership, group, team. Then we have decision making, and towards the end we have stress, well-being, and structure and design. Paper pattern, as you were referring that, yes, we know the paper pattern, still I'm repeating. You will be having a part A. It will be a mandatory question of 20 marks and it will be a case study. So you could have two parts in the case study, 10 marks each, or you could have four questions in the case study, that is 5, 5, 5 each. Well, it means 5 each basically. Then in part B, you will be having a 50 marks questions where you have to attempt four questions. Each question will be of 12.5 marks. Reference material, you could refer your SLM. They are good to go. You could study them. In addition to this, you already have certain class recordings and you will be also having this revision class recording. So you could refer it. In addition to this, you also have handouts. And in addition to handouts, you also have a reference books, that is T.N. Chabra or Robbins' book. So what do we mean by organization? So I'm covering few topics in the unit 1. First of all, it is a social unit that is structured and managed to pursue collective goals. So basically, in an organization, if you call anything an organization, then we should have a purpose, very important, that there should be some vision, mission, goal, or objective for which people are working. Then it should have people, that means more than one individual should be working. And then there should be structure, that means it is formed so that people could collectively work. So if purpose, people, and structure is clear, it is an organization. So an organization could be a large, it could be small, it could be public, private, or hybrid ownership. It could be a profit-making organization. It could also be a non-profit making organization. It could be in the manufacturing sector or service sector. It could belong to any industry, finance, education, food, anything. It could be located in India or beyond India. It could be owned by government or it could be owned by a private person. So what is important for an organization to be an organization? Purpose, people, and structure. So if we look into the difference between organization, family, friendship group, and community, we could see that organization is having purpose, it is having labor, that is the people who are working. Then there is a communication. Then we have rules, procedure, control, and techniques. There is a specific hierarchy and the division of labor. But when we look into a community, we don't find the initial attributes, right? Similarly, in an organization, we have values, we have status, we have non-formal, informal relationship. But what we don't have in an organization is we don't see strong emotional bonds between the members, which is a characteristics of family or friendship group. So what is OB? We understand now what is organization. Organization is something where people are working together, they have formed a structure and they have some purpose in mind, a clear purpose in mind. Organization behavior, it is a field of study that investigates the impact that individual, group, and structure have on behaviors within the organization to apply such knowledge towards improving an organization effectiveness. So this definition is given by Stephen Robbins. In short, it means that it is the area of study where you study the behavior of individual employee. You study the behavior of employees when they work in group. You study the behavior of people in the organization, and then you apply this knowledge so that you could improve organization effectiveness, right? This is the meaning of OB. Major disciplines that contributed to the domain of OB, right? So OB is an applied behavioral science. It integrates knowledge from various disciplines like psychology, sociology, anthropology, etc. So in psychology, we could see the study of individual mindset like stress, job satisfaction, perception, personality, learning, motivation. So we have borrowed this knowledge from psychology and we have blended it with the organization behavior discipline. Similarly, group-related components like communication, group decision making, power, conflict, that is social psychology. So we have borrowed this knowledge from the domain of social psychology and sociology, and then we have merged in the groups. 1 minute, 1 minute. Please, I don't know. Please, you call ma'am. You're disturbing the class in between. So, sorry. So social psychology. So from sociology and social psychology, we have taken the knowledge related to attitude, group processes, group decision making, power, and other components, right? And then from the domain of anthropology and sociology again, so we have taken the knowledge related to culture and climate, right? So all this knowledge that is coming from different domains like psychology, social psychology, sociology, anthropology was taken and was merged to form the discipline of organization behavior. Then in OB, we have level of analysis. Level of analysis means that there are 3 levels in which we study the behavior. First is individual level, which is a micro level analysis. Here we study how an employee behave individually in the organization. That means the personality, the values, and the different processes like perception, motivation of individual employees is studied in OB. Then we have group level analysis, that is meso level analysis, where we talk about group dynamics. So here we study that how people work when people work in group, how they behave. So here we study concepts like group cohesiveness, teamwork, power, politics, group dynamics. And lastly, we study when the complete organization, when everyone is working, how the culture, climate, and cross-cultural analysis is done. So we call it organizational level analysis, which is a macro level analysis. Now, very important question is, what do managers do? So if you are doing this course of MBA, I assume you all intend to become a manager or you want to go to some senior position where you want to become an entrepreneur, maybe a CEO, maybe a senior manager, something like that. So it is important for you to understand that what is your exact role, what you are expected to do. Are you expected to complete each and every task directly? Not exactly. So managers are the coordinators. So they help an organization to accomplish its objective through people most effectively and efficiently. So what is the focus of a manager? To do the right things, and that means to achieve the goals on time and to complete the task efficiently. That means to minimize the wastage. In the literature, we could see management functions that have been defined by Henry Fayol in the classical period. So it may not cover all the complexities that a manager is expected to deal with it, but it gives you a little idea that what are the different functions that a manager is performing. So Henry Fayol has bifurcated all the roles of manager into 5 categories. That is planning, organizing, commanding, coordinating, and controlling. Planning basically means that a manager needs to define goals in line with primary purpose and vision of the organization. Organizing means it is the function of manager that he needs to identify various tasks, groups, available in an organization and classify them into one particular job, right? So basically, he is the one who is responsible for designing the reporting relationship. Third function is commanding. That means managers should direct and lead the subordinate, like motivate them, help them understand, resolve the conflicts like this. Then coordination is the fourth function where for the harmonize of all activities in an organization, manager is expected to coordinate to reduce conflict and stimulate employees' motivation. And last function of a manager is controlling. That means in the planning function, he is setting up certain goals. And towards the end of the cycle, he is responsible to compare the planning with the actual results. So he or she needs to compare the targets with the actual performance and take the corrective actions so that in future that is not repeated. Another uh, work in the literature is Henry Mintzberg's managerial role that he defined in 1960s. So based on the observation, Mintzberg segregated all the roles of the manager into three broad categories. That is interpersonal, informational, and decisional. So according to Mintzberg, there are three broad category roles of a manager. First is interpersonal, second is related to information, and last is related to decision. Interpersonal role consists of three sub roles, that is figurehead, leader, and liaison. So in figurehead, manager is fulfilling an official role where he is an official representative, and it's a symbolic role. So example, in routine level work of social and legal nature, he is signing the document, he is representing the particular department or particular organization. So he is acting as a figurehead. As a leadership role, he is hiring, motivating, and directing employees. That means staffing and hiring comes in part of leader role. And as a liaison, he is building the network to gather information. So he's serving on different boards, he's acknowledging the mails, he's building the network to gather the information. Informational role, that is the second broad category, as the name suggests. It is the manager who collects the information. He is the one who transfers the information to the department or the organization, and he is the one who talks about the information inside the department to the outside world. So he is a monitor, he is a disseminator, and he is a spokesperson. So by reading reports and maintaining network, he is collecting the information. This is manager's role. Then by holding meetings, sending emails and memos, he is transferring the relevant information in the organization and department. This is his disseminator role. And finally, he is holding board meetings, he is giving information to media and transferring the information to outside world as a spokesperson. Final role of a manager is a decisional role where a manager is acting as an entrepreneur. That means he or she is responsible for bringing the change. He or she is responsible to bring business, to bring new opportunities, to bring projects to the organization. He or she is responsible for handling the disturbance. That means if some conflict is there, he is the one or she is the one who is resolving it. Then he is acting as a negotiator. That means he is negotiating with the suppliers and the union also, right? And lastly, he is a resource allocator. That means he is allocating the resources or scheduling the budgets. So this is what was defined by Mintzberg. Next we have is that in detail we have discussed what are the function and what are the roles of a manager, but then what kind of a skill is required to be a manager? Very important. So Robert defined three categories of skills: technical, human, and conceptual. Technical skills means that the ability to apply the specialized knowledge or expertise while performing the given task. So in case you are an auditor, you are a senior audit manager, then knowing how to read a balance sheet, knowing how to work on the working papers is the part of technical skill. Similarly, if you're a bank manager, knowing how to pass the loan sheet, how to read it, it is a technical skills. Ability to apply the specialized knowledge or expertise while performing the given task. Then manager needs human skills because he is coordinating, he's handling, he's motivating, leading people. So communicating with employees and coordinating the work between the employees. For this, human skills are important, right? Otherwise, he won't be able to resolve the conflict. And last is conceptual skills. That is the mental ability to deal with complex problem. Very known example for this is pandemic. So during pandemic, employees were not knowing what to do, which platform to use, how to connect. So it is a skill set in the manager who knows that yes, we could deal with this situation in this manner, right? So that is conceptual skills. Last topic in unit 1 is challenges and opportunities of organization behavior. So what are the different challenges we could see in modern organization and what kind of opportunities are there with the manager and to deal with it? First is enabling leaders to lead in VUCA world. So VUCA here means volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous. So that means today um, business is not that simple, right? There are so many challenges, unprecedented challenges with AI, with change in technology, with pandemic, different reasons that are happening in the environment has become very unpredictable, right? Plus, there is a lot of competition, which adds complexity. Nobody knows what is going to happen next, right? So, what a manager could do by practicing mindfulness, well-being, and stress management activities, he could also, able to lead in this particular VUCA world, also help his employees to work in this VUCA world. Next is agile, which means able to move quickly. So agile teaming as a work practice require agile minds, focusing more on we and our priorities than me on my priorities, right? So it basically say that today it is everything is about good team. So individually, you could not work. You need a team, you need a group that is supporting you. So this is a challenge in front of a manager. So what a manager could do, he could open up, he could have a more inclusive thinking, cognitive flexibility. That means he could think in new ways with adding more people to his team, adding more types of perspective and including everyone, right? Very important and it's a very common since like a decade or more. Globalization. So integration of various economies. So when the various world economies are coming together, a manager could not limit his thought to domestic needs. He needs to look into the things from the global perspective. That means global issues, the focus on global issue has become important, right? So a manager should understand cultural differences among employees, right? So if McDonald's is coming to India, they need to understand what Indian practices are, what Indian values are. If Disney is going to some other country, Australia, maybe some other nation, China, they need to understand what kind of a culture, what kind of a value system is there. Otherwise, survival will be very difficult. Then it is this point is connected partially with inclusive thinking one, where we are talking about building teams, that managing workforce diversity. So diversity is not only the cultural difference, it also include age difference, it also include race difference, it also include value difference, it also include ability and non-ability point. So there are a lot of differences between employees. Gender differences also there, male, female, ethnicity. So there are differences and similarity between the employees. So for a manager today, it is a challenge how to manage people that those who are coming from diverse group. So what manager could do? He could bring new innovative ideas to the organization. He could have an inclusive thinking. It is difficult to resolve the conflict, no doubt, but Again, diversity gives you creative ideas. So a manager could nourish that. Okay, he could promote those ideas. Then customer service is again a challenge. Unlike past, today customers are very responsive and they are very choosy. So it is again difficult to make your customers satisfied. So by changing and working on employees' attitude and behavior, we could help managers to bring such a culture into organization where people or employees are working to satisfy the customers. Last is working in networked organization. Now virtual platforms, hybrid models are very common. So people are sitting in USA, UK, India, and they're connecting, they're working together. So this kind of things are very important and very necessary in today's world. So managing such organization need different set of skills, right? So virtually collaborating, coordinating with employees is an emerging challenge for the managers. Then work-life balance. So in past, we never means like in lesser number of time, we used to hear that stress is a problem. We could not sleep. That is a problem. We could not deal with the kind of pressure that is coming from work. That is a problem. But today, all these problems have emerged. Why? Because of long working hours, because we are working on virtual platforms, so we don't see night and day. 24 hours people are working because if you're connecting, your clients are in USA, your suppliers or some other group is in some other country. So daytime, nighttime, everything is mixed up, right? So long working hours are one of the main reason of work-life conflict. The world is never sleeping. So coming up with something that could help people in balancing their work-life balance, like flexi time and all, could be helpful, right? Then creating a positive work environment, right? So earlier the concept was that there are certain weaknesses in the employees. You give them the training, you try to focus on that, you try to improve it. But positive organization behavior gave another concept where they say that why not to focus on the strengths of the employee? Why not to promote and help people do what they are good at, right? Then improving the ethical behavior. Ethical behavior is very, very important. Uh, beginning of the 2000, we could see so many companies went down. Enron, Satyam, WorldCom, one after the others. So ethical behavior of the leaders was questioned in each case. And it is very, very important for leaders to be ethical. Why? Otherwise, they are going to lose the trust of the investors, trust of all the stakeholders. And the survival of the organization will become very difficult. Last is economic pressure. So when the economic conditions are good, managers are happy, they motivate the employees with rewards, salaries, and perquisites. But when the economic conditions are bad, they're not good. At that point of time, it is a real testing phase for the manager. It shows that how manager is dealing with stress conditions at the work. So economic pressure is again another challenge. So this was one of the article which was published in Harvard Business Review, which talks about emerging business managerial roles. So in brief, I will be covering it. Today, a manager could not come up with something that is more repetitive in nature. If something is very, very repetitive in nature, very easily it will be copied either by your competitors or by the technology like AI. So innovation is important and there is no best time for innovation. It's an ongoing process. Similarly, a manager could not be only be the problem solver. Problem aayegi, I will solve it. No. He needs to be a challenger. He needs to be proactive in understanding and analyzing and solving the upcoming challenges in the industry. Third, a manager could not be an employer. He could not think that, okay, work is going to come and I'm going to deal with it. No. He needs to act as an entrepreneur. That means he is responsible, she is responsible to bring business, to bring growth to the organization. He could not be only directive. He needs to move from directive to instructive. That means he needs to explore best practices to shape the impact of AI in the industry. Last, from restrictive to expensive. That means a manager needs to delegate. He could not do the micromanagement, right? So he needs to motivate their employees to analyze the market, think about the solution, and take decision based on their analysis. Last, so managerial implication of unit 1 is that human behavior is complex and it is challenging to generalize human behavior. It is very, very difficult to generalize and say in this scenario, this could be done, right? So all these studies are helping us to understand the behavior and come up with some solutions. Managers often try intuition, idea, gut feeling to explain cause and effect relationship, but sometimes feeling leads to incorrect decision. So use of metrics could give you better output. Managers should learn interpersonal skills, human skills. Why? Because soft skills like empathy, communication, leaderships are the way more important than the technical knowledge about the work. Today, work environment is challenging and it is changing continuously. Therefore, manager needs to upgrade both technical and conceptual skills. Lastly, concepts of OB could provide various insights that could help a manager to resolve conflicts, improve work-life balance, and reduce stress. So this is it in the unit 1 in a brief manner. I'm just giving you access of mic. If you have any queries, you could ask, then I will move to unit 2. Yes. Any queries still here? Any question, any query till here? Should I move to the next unit?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay.
Good morning. And I just
Yes.
wanted to know if any question comes on this topic, when how would be the question will be asked from this area.
Okay. So from this area, you could have, that is unit 1, you could have some direct questions where you could be asked that, like write a short note on management functions or managerial roles defined by Mintzberg or managerial skills, right? Or you
Right.
could also have a 12.5 marks part B. In part B, you could have questions related to different challenges and opportunities a manager is needs to go through, right, when they're working in present day world. Or you
Mhm.
could have a broad question talking about organization behavior in general. So when you will have a question related to OB in general, right,
Ji,
then
ji.
you could cover up the points like what is organization behavior, why organization behavior is important, and what kind of a challenges could be there for the manager.
Okay.
If I
Okay. All right.
bifurcate this unit, it includes 3 parts. Look into the syllabus. First
Ji.
is introduction to OB, right?
Right.
That means
Ji,
how
ji.
this discipline was formed, what is this discipline, what are the challenges, and what are the solutions to those challenges for the manager.
Ji,
And the second
ji.
part is what is the role of a manager, what he is doing, and what kind of skills are required to be a manager. So you could have
Correct. Ji.
questions related to both. Talking about a case study question, I have already taken one case study from this topic related to Monica. So you could see in my past recordings, in that case study I have covered that Monica is the
Ji,
bank manager. She is
ji.
fulfilling certain roles throughout the day, and based on the case study, you have to answer the different managerial roles fulfilled by Monica. So in that
Okay.
sense, you
Ji.
could get a case study. Okay.
All right. All right.
Should I
Thank you.
move to
Thank
the
you
next
so much.
topic?
Ma'am.
Yeah, now
Okay.
we can do it. Yeah.
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
So unit 2. Um, Before I start unit 2, I would like to give you a little understanding about the syllabus, right? Your paper pattern is 1 minute. It includes 70 marks, 50 plus 20. And for those 70 marks, we have 9 units, right? Unit 2 is only one portion of it, right? 1 by 9 portion of it. So within unit 2, we have too many topics. Like we have a complete topic of perception, we have a complete topic of personality, we have a complete topic of emotions, values, attitudes, and so on and so forth, right? So you could follow your SLM, that is minimum requirement, but you need to understand that too much of focus in each topic here and leaving the complete unit towards the when we move to further units is of no use. Are you able to relate with me? What I'm trying to say कि in case अगर आप prepare कर रहे हो, right? So you need to understand that how your syllabus is bifurcated. The perception, personality, attitude, values, and emotions. In combination, they are making only one unit. Whereas topics like leadership, motivation, they are separate units, right? So they have more weightage. This is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so let's move. This is unit 2. It consists of all these topics that you could see on my screen. First, we will start with personality. So what is a personality? It refers to some total of ways in which individual reacts and interacts with others. So it's relatively a stable set of psychological and behavior or attribute that distinguish one person from another, right? So how personality is determined? It is determined through biological factor, that means physical attribute, hereditary, something that is there in the DNA of a person. It is also determined through environmental factors, and it is also determined through the various situations that a person goes through when they move from child to adulthood, right? In detail, it is there in your SLM, so I'm not pushing it hard. Very important topic is personality types, right? Then in personality type, we have big five personality factors. It was given by Robert and Paul. Here, five types of personality. Acronym is OCEAN is discussed. OCEAN there means openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Extroversion basically means it's a kind of a personality where a person is social, outgoing, talkative, and assertive. Conscientiousness is a trait where a person is very hardworking, organized, self-disciplined, and responsible. Emotional stability is a trait where a person remains calm, secure, unworried. Agreeableness is a kind of a trait where a person is cooperative, caring, trusting. And openness to experience is a trait. It represents a group of people who are curious, creative, intellectual, and flexible. So basically, if someone scores low in extroversion, right, it means he is very quiet, he is loner. If someone scores very high in extrovert, that means he is very talkative, he is very active, he is very affectionate. Similarly, if someone scores low in agreeableness, that means he is irritable, he is very critical, he or she is not agreeing to whatever is being told. Whereas someone scores very high, that means he is soft-hearted, good-natured, and trusting. In conscientiousness, if someone is low, that means he or she is disorganized. And someone is high score, that means he or she is well organized. Similarly, in neuroticism, if someone is low scoring, that means they are comfortable, calm. And high score represents that they are self-conscious and emotional. Lastly, in openness to experience, if someone is low scorer, that means they are conventional, they are uncurious, uncreative. But if someone is scoring very high, that means they are very creative, very original, and very curious. Before I move to personality type MBTI, if you, I'm just giving you gist in this particular recording. Why? Because we have 9 units, right? Time is limited. But you could go through my class recording that is related to personality in detail using videos, activities, cases. I have covered each type of personality along with different other things that are related to personality. I won't be going in that detail in this class. So MBTI is a personality type, right? It's an instrument which was developed by Catherine and Isabel. They are the mother and daughter duo. So it was based on the work of Swiss psychiatrist C.G. Jung, who presented his psychological type theory in the book entitled Psychological Types, published in 1921 and translated into English in 1923. So here in MBTI, there are four broad categorization which is described. First is based on energy. So it means some people energy is such that they are introverts, some are extrovert. Then how people collect information from the surrounding. Based on it, we have two categories, that is some people are sensing, some are intuition. Then making decisions. So some people think, some people feel. Then orient themselves to outside world. So some people are judging and some people are perceiving. So extroverts are the people who are very energetic, their energy level is very high. They display a lot of emotional range. They like group, they gain energy when they are in group. Introvert are people who restrain physically, they remain calm, reserved, and they use word I. That means they like to explore single topics in depth. So I am repeating it, that focus of energy represents introvert and extrovert. What does that mean? How will you judge whether you are an introvert or extrovert? If you move to some place where a group of people are there, you are in a party. So if you feel after the party, you feel very energetic. It makes you feel, yes, it was a good time. I received a lot of energy. That means you are having an extrovert personality. But if you are feel little tired and you feel more energy when you are alone, when you remain with your own thoughts, that means you are an introvert. Then sensing and intuition. It is the way in which person collects the information. So some people take information from the environment in a sequence step-by-step way, whereas some people take information as a snapshot or a big picture way. What does that mean? Intuition is something where you will report things with feelings. You will tend to finish sentences. Whereas sensor is something where you tend to speak in short phrases. Next is thinking and feeling. So if you're going to some party with your friend and you suddenly realize that whatever the person is wearing, the friend is wearing, or your partner is wearing is not appropriate. So thinking is a kind of a personality trait where a person is going to get away from the other person. That means he's going to step back and he's going to give an objective view. Like he could say, oh, please go and change. It is not looking good. So it is the thinking trait. Whereas a feeling is a personality trait where person try to be more empathetic. He will stand in the place of the other person and think, and then he is going to speak. So he could say that, well, he could deal it in that manner. So that is a feeling stage. Then we have judger and perceiver. So judger is a person who plan everything till nth degree. So there is no contingency. And perceiver is a person who leaves the thing and he or she is very, very flexible and open to new ideas. So if we bifurcate these eight personality traits, using the permutation and combination, we could have 16 types of personality. So INJFJ means intuition, introvert, intuition, feeling, and judger. ENFP means extrovert, intuition, feeling, and perceiver. So like this, 16 types of personalities are there. So if you will get into detail of it, you could understand that through this personality types, there are some suggested professions also which are good for the particular personality type. As mentioned previously also, if you want to get into detail of personality lesson, you could look into my class recording. There, everything has been covered in detail. Next personality type is type A and type B personality. This personality type was explained by Mayer and Ray. Friedman and Roseman. So they are not the psychologists. They are basically cardiologists. So they studied, basically the study was based on heart attacks. They studied that there are certain personalities which are very competitive, they are deadline oriented, outcome oriented, time urgent, very, very irritable. So these are type A personality. Whereas there are certain group of people who laid back, they remain very flexible, they are time relaxed, very calm, process oriented. There is no time urgency in their life. They are type B personality. Then we have theories, right? Psychoanalytic theory and Sigmund Freud's theory. Even Big Five personality trait is also not a type, it is a part of a theory, right? So, in this theory, Sigmund Freud has explained ID, ego, and superego. So, ID, ego, and superego is mental, conscious, unconscious representations of to study the personality. So ID basically talks about instant pleasure, but that a person looks for something that is very tempting. Like I want to have a cake now. I want to have something sweet now. Ego or super ego is something that a person's moral conscious. That means you are on a diet, you should not eat cake, right? And ego is something that balances the desire and the reality. That means you could have a small piece later. So ID wants immediate gratification and superego imposes the discipline. And ego mediates between the two. So now you could look into the diagram. ID is your unconscious mind that needs something to be immediately gratified. So it could be, I want this cake, I want this thing, I want that thing. So that is your unconscious mind who is coming up with different desires that, yes, I want this. Superego is the moral consciousness. That means morally this is correct, morally this is incorrect. So I could not do it. So it stays in your unconscious, conscious, and preconscious mind. And on the top of it is ego, which balances superego and ID that is reflected in your actions. So that is your visible personality area, that is ego. That external world is able to see. Then in personality theories, we have different types of theories that are system of concept, assumptions, ideas, principles proposed to explain personality, including 5 perspectives. So trait theory is an attempt to learn what trait makes up the personality and how they relate to actual behavior. So big 5 personality trait is part of trait theory. Then we have psychodynamic theory that focuses on inner working of personality, especially internal conflicts and struggle that we have discussed in Sigmund Freud theory, psychoanalytic theory. Then we have behavioral theories that focuses on the external environment, that how the external world is going to affect the learning. And last, we have social learning theories that attribute to difference in the perspective of socialization, expectation, and mental processes. Then next thing is how we develop this personality. Like I'm an introvert or extrovert, sensor or thinker, whatever it is, then how I develop it. Then there is two different explanation. One given by Erickson, who focuses on the social factor. That means he says that an infant starts with basic trust, and as he goes older, he becomes older adult, how things change, right? So what social factors when they interact with the environment, how personality change and how personality is formed in an infant. Second is Sigmund Freud stages of personality, which is based on the biological factor. So here he talks about that how personality develops because of the biological changes that a person experiences from the childhood to adulthood. It is very well in detail explained in your SLM, so you could go through your SLM also. Other than that, you could also go through the recordings also to support it. Main thing is that how personality can be measured through several methods. or why personality is important in the organization, right? So first we will study that how we could measure it through different methods. So in an organization, we could use self-report questionnaires like MBTI's or Big Five inventory questionnaire we could use to see what kind of personality a person is. Or we could use the observation method. By observing the behavior, we could see that what kind of personality a person is. So for this, we need trained observers. Then we have projective test, that means like ink blot test, that is could be helpful. In this test, some ink impressions are there, and the person needs to tell what all they could see on the screen. And then there is an expert who help in interpreting that what all images have been translated, what kind of a personality a person is having. Then you have some simulation role playing scenario type of roles and training that could help you in accessing the personality, that is behavioral assessment. And last is structured and unstructured interview. So taking a detailed interview of people could help you in understanding the personality trait of a particular person. But why this personality, studying personality is crucial for organization? Why we are studying in this OB topic? So when you hire a person, if a person is an introvert and you give him a job that requires him to be an extrovert, he won't be able to do it. Similarly, if a type B personality person is given a job where time urgency is very important, or type A personality person is given a work where creativity and innovation is very important, then they won't be able to perform. So for better hiring, understanding personality ensure that you are hiring the candidates whose traits are aligned with the job and culture of the organization. This is also going to improve your team dynamics. So you could have a balanced team. If you will keep all the type A personality in one team, what will happen? Everyone is running after a time. You will lose the component of creativity and innovation. And if you will keep all type B personality in one team, then what is going to happen? No time urgency. Deliverables will be delayed. So you need to have a combination, balanced teams. Then obviously personality insights could guide leadership development and ensure that leaders adopt style that best motivate their team. Aligning task and individual personality trait boosts productivity and job satisfaction. And understanding personality will make your people happy because whatever they want to do as per their personality trait, they are given. So their engagement will be better and their leaves, absenteeism, and turnover will be reduced. Lastly, when you are developing the training and development program, these personality assessment is going to help you in designing the training program that suit individual learning preferences and strength. Further, beyond this, we have some dark traits, right? Dark traits basically are the traits which are not very acceptable in the organization. Here we have Machiavellism, that means a degree to which individual is pragmatic, maintains emotional distance, and believes that ends can just justify means. Then we have narcissism. It is a tendency to be arrogant. That means someone who gives a lot of importance to himself and he needs a lot of praise and admiration for himself, herself. And last is psychopath, where a person shows lack of empathy and concern for others, right? So Machiavellism is a kind of a personality trait where you could see a person is depicting the manipulation and there is a secretive behavior. Narcissism is a kind of a behavior where a person is so much self-obsessed, and psychopath is a kind of a personality trait where a person remains very cold and without empathy, right? So we will be starting with the next topic. Before this, I'm giving you access of mic. If you have any query, you could ask. Yes, any question?
Ma- Ma'am,
Everything is. Should I move to the next topic?
ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, what is the meaning of ego, super ego?
Basically, Sigmund Freud gave the concept of ID, ego, and superego. ठीक है?
Yes, ma'am.
ID means हमारी लाइफ में क्या होता है, हमें इमीडिएट कुछ प्लेजर्स चाहिए होते हैं जिसको हम चाहते हैं एकदम से ग्रेटिफाई हो जाए. Like I
Yes,
want this chocolate. So suddenly this thing came in my mind, I want chocolate. So
yes,
whatever happens, I just want to eat this chocolate. सुपर ईगो एक मॉरल कॉन्शियसनेस है जो मॉनिटर करती है कि आई कुड नॉट स्टील द चॉकलेट. I need to purchase the chocolate. I could not have the chocolate if I'm a sugar patient, right? So super
yes,
ego एक moral consciousness देती है about what is right and what is wrong way of dealing with the pleasure that you are feeling. And
yes.
आपकी ego जो है वो दोनों के बीच में balance करती है. So what people around you could see is ego. External world could see ego. Now it is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Best
Yes.
you could go in detail. I have already taken one complete class on personality. Online recording is available. There, every point is explained in detail. So you could go through that.
Okay, ma'am.
Right? Any other question? Should I move to the next topic? So
Yes,
we
ma'am.
have 9 units. We have 9 units and approximately we have 12 topics. Personality, perception, if I bifurcate them. So we could not cover each and every topic in very, very detailed. So you need to go through the class recording side by side if you want a very detailed explanation. In unit 2, I have already explained you. I will keep it brief because it comprises of 4-5 topics itself. Right? So I'm sharing my screen and taking back the access of mic. Okay. So next topic is perception. Let me just. So what you could see in both the pictures. So here one person is saying that this is a half full glass, and the other person is thinking, oh yes, it is a half empty glass. If I would have asked you which yellow line is bigger, you would have said line number 2. But in reality, they both are same. It is only the background track that is making it look like that line 2 is bigger. So the eye sees only what the mind is prepared to comprehend, right? Similarly, if I would have asked you what you could see in the picture, someone would have said, I could see a skeleton. Some of you would have said, I could see a mirror. I could see a woman just sitting in front of a mirror, right? So, what is perception? Perception basically means that people are not seeing the same thing in the same manner. It is a process where an individual is selecting, organizing, and interpreting the sensory input to give the meaning to their environment, right? World would have been much more simpler if one would have been perceiving the same thing similarly. So some people are thinking, okay, this boss is very strict. Someone is thinking, no, 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 whatever he is doing is right. So ये हमारे perception differences. So what is the process of perception? How we end up thinking differently. So basically, the first thing is input. That means the sensation. Your eyes, your ear, the touch. Through touch, you receive a sensory information from the environment. We call it a reception of stimuli. Then your mind starts processing it. That means first you select based on the certain criteria like immediate goals, maybe personal interest, maybe past experiences, maybe cultural background, values, expectations. A person tends to select particular things. For example, an employee may come across various tasks but might pay more attention to the tasks that are near to deadlines. So out of in the environment, he has selected or she has selected particular task. What are the factors that are going to affect your perceptual selection is in the process is external factor. That is, if two objects are there, your mind or your eyes will be able to see the large size object compared to the smaller one. Similarly, if certain thing is under the bright lights, so the chances are very bright that you will be able to see it. जो डार्क लाइट के अंदर होगी ऑब्जेक्ट आप नहीं देख पाओगे. Similarly, if some object is on the black background and it is white in color, contrast है. So the symbols that stand out clearly against the background, you will be able to select it. But your mind won't be able to select if some black object is on the black background. You might leave it. Similarly, if something is repeating again and again, if I'm teaching in a classroom and the student is coming in and out 20 times, the chances are very high that your mind is be able to recognize that person. But if someone is sitting in the last seat, maybe you might not be able to recognize that person. Lastly, if some new things, unfamiliar thing is there, then people are able to recognize it. Right? But if some normal thing is there, day to day, 100 of people are sitting in the classroom, nobody is going to notice. If one alien is sitting in between, looking different, everyone is going to notice the person. So these are the external factors which affect the way we select the stimulus from the environment. Then we have internal factors like our interests, like our past experience, like our personal cultural background, values, personality, etc. Second step is if I look into the process, you select the things and then you organize and interpret them. So organizing and classification and interpretation basically means how selected perceptions are structured and interpreted, right? This means that, for example, if I ask you what you could see in the classroom, it is a real classroom. You will say students. So your mind has classified all the people in the classroom as a student, right? You're not looking into the bifurcation, like some are male, some are female, some are tall, some are small, some are fair, some are darker. You're not able to see those differences. It has been grouped. So this is classification. And based on the classification, you interpret it. So how your classification and interpretation is influenced? One is figurehead concept, which basically means that if you look into this picture, what you could see, the whole of something is different from its part, right? So if you look into part wise, you will see something different. If you look at the whole picture, you will see something different. Similarly, we have a closure. If I would have asked you what you could see on the screen, you will say, I'm able to see a square. But actually, this is not the square. These are some dotted lines. But your mind is able to read it like a square because it has closed all the dots. Similarly, if someone is telling us something and they leave the talk in between, then our mind tends to complete the complete information on their own, right? And the last thing is that based on how you have classified and interpreted the things, you draw the conclusion. You make the decision. It is reflected in your behavior. For example, a recruiter might end up recruiting low performing candidates based on their dressing sense if he or she perceives that knowledgeable people are dressed properly, right? The very important concept and standalone concept in perception is attribution theory. That means how people make judgment about others. So attribution theories explain the cognitive process through which individual attribute reasons to the behavior. So Heather's key contribution to developing attribution theory posits that behavior results from blend of internal factors and external factor. That is your capability and the difficulty of the task, right? For example, an employee might perceive that promotion is due to hard work, or he or she might perceive that it is due to the luck factor. To summarize it, what we are trying to study in attribution theory is we are trying to study that how people judge others. So if you are promoted, right, then how my mind is going to perceive that how your promotion took place. Is it because of your capability or is it because of some external reason or your luck factor, right? Harold Kelly suggested that people make internal external attribution based on three types of information. First is consensus, then is consistency, and last is distinctiveness. So consensus refers to extent to which employees behave in the way they behave in the given situation. That means consensus is high when people behave similar to the others, or and low when they behave differently. So if you are performing in an organization the way everyone is performing in the organization, that means your consensus is high. Otherwise, it's low. Consistency is based on timeline. It refers to how consistent the behavior is. It is low, that means a person changes behavior with time. And if it is high, that means over time the behavior is same. And distinctiveness is the extent to which person behaves differently across different situations. High distinctiveness exists when behavior varies across different contexts, whereas low distinctiveness indicates that consistency in behavior across different situations. For example, could you see this diagram? Right? When consensus is high, the observer perceives that it is due to external forces, right? And when it is low, he perceives that it is due to internal factor. For example, Monica is promoted to director position, right? If it is because of internal factor or external factor, this is what others are trying to explain. So Calais' model suggested that if she consistently outperformed other employees, that means if she is doing better than other employees, right? So her consensus is low. If it is low, that means it is because of her ability and knowledge. Next is consistency, that means over time. Now, if you assume that Monica is performing good over time, that means her sales figures is always going up. If we look into timeline, year one, year two, year three, quarter one, quarter two, consistency is high. That means this is because of her internal ability. Last is distinctiveness. It basically means that if distinctiveness is high, her behavior is different, then that is because of the external factor. So in the case of Monica, if we look into the sales figure, how well she is performing when she is working on the sales of different product lines, right? And if we see that her sales figure is very high, even in that scenario also, that means distinctiveness is low and her promotion is due to her ability and knowledge, right? I'm giving you access of mic. If someone is having problem related to attribution theory, here only you could ask me because this is something little confusing topic, right? Yes. Any query, any problem?
Ma'am, could you please repeat second point?
And the second point is
In attribution theory?
consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency.
Yeah. Yes.
See, if I leave this thing of Monica, एक simple सा logic अब देखो. Consensus का मतलब होता है that your behavior, what in whichever way you are behaving, it's similar to how others around you is behaving. If every student is coming late to class, right? सब late हुए class में. 100 students की class से almost 90 people are coming late, right? Then I as a teacher is going to perceive that this is because of some external factor. Maybe traffic होगा, बाहर कुछ rush होगा, maybe some external factor is there because of which you are coming late. Why? Because consensus is high. In case अगर 100 students की class में only you are coming late, then I will think that it is because of the internal factor. You are not serious about the class. Why? Because everyone is in time. You are the only person who is coming late. So that means there are some internal ability, capability related factors because of which you are late to the class. Behavior को मैंने attribute कर दिया. कंसिस्टेंसी का मतलब होता है टाइमलाइंस. So if you are coming late in my first class, you are also coming late in my second class, third class, fourth class. That means बहुत high consistency है. Consistently you are coming late. Then I am going to perceive that this is happening because of the internal reason. It is your capability related thing. You're not serious about the class, your ability, your interest, something is missing. That is why every time you're late in the class. But if it is happening like today you are coming late, but in my next class you are early in morning, you're coming on time. In another class you are coming before time. That means I will presume that when you were late, it is because of some external reason. Why? Because consistency in this case is now low, right? Last is distinctiveness. Distinctiveness, as the name suggests, that if I give you, if you're talking about my class, if there is some other teacher class also, accounts class, your finance class, different other classes, if you are showing the same behavior in all the classes, right? That means distinctiveness, difference between the behavior is low, right? Will be attributed to internal component. अगर आप सिर्फ मेरी ही क्लास में लेट आ रहे हो पर दूसरी क्लास में आप बहुत टाइम पे आ गए, किसी में कुछ हो गया, किसी में कुछ हो गया, दैट मीन्स इट इज सम एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर. Why? Because distinctiveness is high. Now it is clear?
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for clearing
Right?
it.
So perception basically means how people think about you. And why we are studying this in OB? Because this is how manager thinks about you when you are an employee. And this is how you think about others when you are a manager. So if you are a manager and you are thinking in this manner, there is a possibility that this is what is happening to your mind. This is what we are trying to learn. Right? Anyone else has any question related to it? Or should I move to the next slide? Should I
Ma'am,
move to the next topic? Yes.
ma'am, what is the meaning of sensation?
What is the meaning of? I missed few words.
Sensation.
Could you just type it? I am unable to hear it.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of sensation?
Consensus.
Yes, ma'am.
Consensus basically means consensus होता है कि सबका behavior same है. Like I have given the second example कि in
Yes,
class 100 students की class में almost 100 students are coming late. तो consensus है ना उनके behavior में, सबका behavior same
yes.
ही है. This is consensus. और consistency individual behavior in different timelines पे होता है. और distinctiveness is a behavior in different situation. Right?
Okay, ma'am. Okay,
Should
ma'am.
I move
Okay.
to the next topic? So I'm taking the excess of mic and then I'm moving to the next topic. Okay. Okay. In between, I will be giving you access of mic wherever I will feel that even through SLM or maybe through past recordings, you might find certain issues. Otherwise, wherever I will feel that in SLM it is perfectly given and you have the reading material, you will be able to understand. I will be moving little fast. Now, when you attribution, I hope you understand that attribution basically means how you attribute a behavior, how you think that the behavior is, what is the cause of behavior, internal or external factor. But there are certain errors and biases in the attribution that a person makes. First is fundamental error of attribution. This means it is a tendency of a employee or a human being to attribute others' failure or negative behavior to internal factor and success to external factor. What does this mean? That when you are coming late, right, your manager will most probably think that this is because of the internal ability, right? Similarly, if you are getting a promotion, it's a good thing, success thing. It is a chance that your peers are going to think that this is because of the external factor. हम, in general we say ना luck factor है इसका. nepotism, right? Favoritism. So जब भी किसी की सक्सेस होती है तो हमारा माइंड एट्रीब्यूट करता है दिस इज हैपनिंग बिकॉज ऑफ द एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर. दिस इज एन एरर. सिमिलरली जब किसी के साथ कोई फेलियर वाली सिचुएशन होती है, नेगेटिव बिहेवियर होता है, वी ऑलवेज थिंक बिकॉज दिस इज हैपनिंग बिकॉज ऑफ द एबिलिटी ऑफ अ पर्सन. So this is the fundamental error of attribution when we are attributing the behavior of others. Similarly, there is a self-serving bias error. This is reflected when we are attributing our own success and failure. So जब मुझे खुद को promotion नहीं मिलता, I'm like, this is happening because of external factor. I was not promoted because favoritism चल रहा था, right? But when I'm given success, when I am promoted, then I perceive that मुझे success इसलिए मिली, मुझे promotion इसलिए मिला because I was good. I was hardworking. I remember all the good events that happen around that thing. So this is a self-serving bias, right? Now, other than all this also, we have frequently used shortcuts when we judge others. First is projection bias. It means it is a tendency of people to attribute their own characteristics to others. So if I have certain beliefs, I have certain attitude, I have certain kind of behavior, I feel everyone is doing the same thing. For example, if I am late and I blame traffic, then when my subordinate is going to come and say, okay, ma'am, I was late because there was traffic, I will say, oh, really? I won't believe him because whenever I'm late, I'm just making an excuse that I was in traffic. So I assume that the subordinate is also doing the same thing with me. So projection bias highlights the importance of recognizing and respecting the diversity in preferences and work styles within the organization. So when you become a manager, it is important for you to understand that people are different. It is not necessary that whatever you believe or whatever behavior you showcase, the same thing others are doing. Second is halo effect and horn effect. Halo effect basically means that when you attribute someone's one good characteristics and you think that the person is absolutely good. For example, if one person is having charismatic personality and he is able to communicate very well, just you met that person once, just you met that person in a meeting and you were able to see that the communication is well, you presume that his problem solving skill is also good. So this is a bias, halo effect. Conversely, we have an horn effect that in a meeting, if you have seen that someone is not able to communicate, you presume that his problem solving skills, conceptual skills, and analytical skills are also poor. So halo and horn effect can impact performance evaluation, promotion decision, and team dynamics in the workplace. Then we have stereotype bias. It is a tendency to judge a person based on the group they belong to. For example, Jacob is American and Kenzo is Japanese. So Amit, who is a supervisor, he assigns a teamwork assignment to Kenzo because he believed that Japanese are good in teamwork. Whereas he assigned individual work to Jacob because he believes that Americans like individual work. So this is a stereotype bias. So by promoting awareness, diversity training, inclusivity practices, organization could reduce the negative impact of stereotyping bias. It will foster a more equitable workplace and leverage the full potential of their diverse talent pool. Then we have confirmation bias. So for example, if a manager believes that graduate toppers scoring first 10 ranks are more sincere and determined, then in the recruitment process, unconsciously, they will focus on people who are having that kind of score. And they will try to prove this point. Unconsciously, they will prove this point, yes, that their belief system is correct. All those who are performing good are the people who have scored the first 10 ranks. Then we have contrast effect bias. Normally in interviews, what happens? If a first person comes, he's performing bad. Second person comes, he is performing worst. Third person come not suitable for job but performing little better. then your mind is going to perceive that the third candidate is a suitable candidate. But there is a possibility that all three of them were low profiles and none of them was good. Similarly, if it could be vice versa scenario also. So contrast effect basically reflects that when your mind starts comparing two people or three people. Recency effect impacts our decision making, especially when we talk about performance appraisals and feedback sessions. Here, we give more weight to recent contribution. So throughout the quarter, a person was not performing, but towards the end, he performed very well. So when the manager is giving the appraisal, in his mind, the recent activities will be there in the mind. Similarly, throughout the quarter, the person was very good, but towards the end, there was some clash. So that clash is going to dominate the person when he or she will be evaluating the employee. So this is the recency effect. So why it is important to study perception in organization? Because it could improve the decision making. Like we have taken so many cases above, I won't be repeating it. It could help in resolving the conflict because sometimes conflicts are because of the perception difference. Then it could help in person becoming a good leader because leadership is about how your followers are perceiving you, right? Then perception could also influence your engagement. That means how people perceive the given task, how they perceive given role, and how they perceive overall environment of the organization. And lastly, shared perception among employees about organizational values, norms, and goals significantly contribute towards building a good organizational culture. Then we also have certain more things that we have covered like recruitment process, performance appraisal, communication, teamwork. They are highly impacted with the perception, right? For example, you could select a wrong person in an interview if you believe if you are, suffering with some horn effect. Similarly, you could evaluate a person wrongly in the performance when you are facing some kind of error in judging the person like recency error, right? So understanding perception process is also important in building uh, improving communication between the team members and improving the team effectiveness. Last, we have ethnic profiling. It is a form of a stereotyping in which group of individual is singled out. So like we have studied that gender, race, everything represent that groups are different, people are different, age-wise also people are different. So inclusive thinking is important and ethically it is incorrect if you single out some particular group. Now, what is the link between perception and individual decision making? So basically, our mind is having a cognitive process, how we interpret the information. So, for example, two managers could evaluate the same employee differently. One could say that the person should be promoted, and other could say that promotion is declined, right? So, perception is going to influence the decision of a manager. Similarly, further perception biases influence decisions such as confirmation bias. If you are favoring information that confirms pre-existing beliefs, or anchoring bias like relying too heavily on the first piece of information that you have encountered, or stereotyping bias that means to judge people based on their group or a group that they belong to. So all these biases are going to influence your decision. Then also perception is going to influence your decision making because perception of risk associated with a particular decision could be influenced. So same job, someone could perceive it as risky, someone could perceive it as not. Lastly, employees' perception of organization norms, values shapes the culture of the organization. Then we have decision making. I will be keeping it brief. How we make a decision at individual level. We have rational decision making. We have another concept of bounded rationality. So rational decision making is a kind of a it assumes that a manager collects all the available information, evaluate each and every alternative, look into the pros and cons of each alternative, and then make a decision. Whereas later Herbert Simon explained that rational decision making is not a reality, it is not possible. So normally decision makers operate under constraint, that means time is limited, information is limited. So in the given constraint, they make the decision with the given information. So this is a concept of bounded rationality. In detail, we will be doing it when we will be exploring the decision making unit, right? Before I move further, I'm giving you access of mic. If you have any query till here, you could ask. Yes, please. Any query?
Ma'am, this time you did
Screen
not
is
share
not
PPT.
visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Cloud screen was not
That's why we
visible.
raised the hand. That's
Yeah,
why
Ma'am,
we
ma'am.
raised the
messenger
hand.
Even we
Ma'am.
sending
have pinged you
messages.
in chat as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so screen किस point से visible नहीं थी? Attribution theory तक तो visible थी.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
ठीक है. So I think your screen was not visible from this point. Correct? नहीं ये भी visible होगा from this point.
Errors. I'm from errors. Was
From
not visible.
errors. So we
Yeah.
have 5-6 slides. In brief, I'm telling you. ठीक है? Uh, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. So in brief, I'm telling you this point, and then I will be simultaneously moving to the next part. In case you have any doubt in this portion, you could ask me later on. Will that be okay with everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So give me 1 minute. Okay. Attribution error was clear to you. Basically, when you are attributing, attribution का क्या मतलब है? That I am attributing someone's behavior to internal or external factor. That means I think that this is happening because of the person's ability, or this is happening because of the external factor. So when we attribute, we humans have a tendency to make errors. हम गलतियां करते हैं, ठीक है, कुछ biases करते हैं. One is fundamental error of attribution, which means when we have to attribute someone else failure. किसी को promotion नहीं मिला, तो we perceive वो है ही ऐसा. That means the hard work was not up to the mark. We look into those components where the person was not performing well. So we blame the internal factor, right? But when someone is getting the promotion, success, other person is getting the success, our mind thinks that this is happening because of favoritism, nepotism, luck factor. So we attribute the success to external factor and we attribute the failure to internal factor. Similarly, we humans also have a tendency to attribute wrongly our own failure and success. So if I myself get a promotion, I say, oh yes, I worked very hard. So my mind is able to visualize all those events where I was doing good. But when I'm not getting the promotion, then my mind thinks all those factors that where it was not my fault. Like in this organization, favoritism is followed, nepotism is followed. That is why I was not promoted. So this is a self-serving bias error. Other than this also, we have different errors, different shortcuts that our mind take when we are judging others. For example, projection bias. Projection bias is a tendency of employee to attribute their own characteristics to others. For example, I always come late to class, right? And whenever I am late to class, I blame traffic. Too much of traffic was there. So जब भी मैं late हो जाती हूँ, I blame traffic. Now my subordinate who comes late to office and says that it was he or she is late because of heavy traffic, then I won't believe. Why? Because of the projection bias. This is an excuse that I have been making to get away with the situation. So I will presume that the same thing my subordinate is doing. So projection bias highlight that it is important to understand that people are different. Everyone's preferences are different. Working style is different. So whatever I am doing is not important that others will be also doing it. Second bias that your mind makes is a halo and horn effect. Halo effect basically means in a meeting, assume karo, someone is communicating very well, right? So you presume that this person is very knowledgeable, his or her problem solving skills are very high, he's a top performer, like this, which may be true, which may not be true. Similarly, if you see someone who is unable to communicate, shy and reserved in the meeting, you presume that the analytical skills are also weak in that person. So this is an horn effect. So when the promotion decisions are made, when the team dynamics take place, when the performance evaluation is done, then halo and horn effect impacts the decision of the manager. Then we have stereotyping bias, which means that we judge someone based on the group they belong to, right? For example, I have taken this example where Jacob is an American and Kenzo is a Japanese, and Amit is a supervisor with two assignments. One assignment needs teamwork and second needs individual work. So Amit thinks that Americans love individual work, so he gives that project to Jacob, and the assignment where the teamwork is required, he give it to Kenzo. Why? Because of the stereotyping bias, which may be true, which may not be true. Similarly, if in your organization someone is 50 plus and someone is 20 plus, and the assignment in your hand is something related to technology. So there is a stereotype bias in the decision making where manager tends to give the work to 20 plus person. Why? Because he believes that youngsters, the people with less age, are more good in technology compared to people who are 50 plus. So this is a stereotype bias. So for such biases, it is important to promote awareness, give diversity training to managers, come up with inclusive practices so that organizations could reduce the negative impact of stereotyping bias. They could foster a more equitable workplace and leverage the full potential of their diverse talent pool. Confirming bias means हमारे minds में कुछ thoughts हैं, कुछ beliefs हैं. Like we feel that a topper is the one who is better. A graduate topper is more sincere and determined. Now, in an interview, when I'm taking an interview of a topper, my way of taking interview has changed unconsciously. I'm trying to support that person because I want to support my belief system. So throughout the panel, I'm trying to showcase this thing because the person is the topper, the person is sincere. So this is the confirmation bias. Contrast effect means when two or three people are, it is just an example, are coming for an interview, you compare them, right? So if three people visited in an interview and all the three people were not, compatible for the job, they were not good for the job, they all were the low profiles, but your decision will be such where you will pick the one who is better than other two. Why? Because you will start thinking, okay, he or she could do it. Other two could not do it, but this third person could do it. Right? So you find the person fit for the job. But in reality, neither of them was fit for the job. So this is a contrast effect bias, which has impacted your decision making. Recency effect basically means when you give more weights to recent contribution. So throughout quarter, I was performing very good. Towards the end, because of some family issue, I wasn't able to perform. But my supervisor, when they evaluated my performance, they gave more weight to the recent activity where I wasn't able to perform. So this is a recency bias. Why perception is important in an organization? One, it improves the decision making. So you don't make all these errors when you are taking the decision as a manager. Then most of our conflicts are because we perceive things differently. Some people think that option A is better, something option B is better, both has different perception. So when you eliminate these biases and errors in the conflict, you are able to resolve the conflict in a better manner. Then why it helps in leading? Because what a leader needs. Who is a leader? who has followers. And what followers feel? Followers perceive that leader is capable of leading. So it is the perception of followers that makes a leader a leader. So when you want to become a leader, you need to create a positive perception in the mind of followers. Engagement. So if I perceive my job is right, my task is right, my organization is right, I will be able to perform better. I will be more engaged, right? Also, it is a shared perception. If everyone in the organization will think that manager is good, or everyone is going to think that manager is autocratic, he is not, he or she is not good, then either of the case, the cohesive culture of the organization will be impacted. As I have mentioned previously, recruitment process is impacted by hello or horn effect के कारण impact हो सकता है. Performance evaluation is impacted maybe because of the recency effect, right? Then your communication and teamwork is impacted because of perception. Last is ethnic profile. So when you single out a group because of the stereotype bias, it is ethically incorrect. So you just left 50 plus people aside, or you left females aside, maybe people belonging to some particular ethnic group side, single them out in the board meeting, then this is ethically incorrect. It should not be accepted. Now, how perception is linked with individual decision making? I'm going to cover up the base. Rest, I will be covering up the techniques in the decision making unit. So, decision making is a cognitive process where a manager tends to interpret the given information. So, two managers could evaluate the same employees differently. One could say, yes, the person should be given promotion, and other could decline, no, 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 promotion should not be given to this person. So, individual perception is impacting the manager's decision. Similarly, there is a lot of influence of the biases. For example, you want to confirm certain information to just confirm your pre-existing belief, confirmation bias, or too heavily we rely on first information that we have encountered, that is anchoring bias, or we single out a group because of the stereotyping bias. So all these biases are impacting our decisions. Thirdly, perception is also impacting how we perceive the risk associated with particular decision. So if I give you two projects, two different managers are going to assign different weights for the risk to do two projects. Someone will say that A is risky, more risky or less risky. So how much risk is associated with a particular decision is also different from person to person. Last, employee perception of the organization norms, values shapes the culture of the organization. Individual decision making में two concepts we will be getting into detail when we will be doing decision making topic. One is rational decision making and second is bounded rationality. So rational decision making assumes that manager makes decision based on available information and all the information is available to them. So they will look into all the pros and cons of all the information that is with them, and then they will come up with the best decision, that is rational decision making. But Herbert Simon said, no, rational decision making is something that is not realistic. In reality, decision maker operates in constraint. So we don't have that much time, that much information, that much cognitive ability to look for everything, every piece of information. So basically, in the given point of time, with the limited information, decision maker makes the best decision, that is bounded rationality. Then we have another concept in brief. I'm covering what is attitude and how it is different from perception. So attitude refers to person's evaluation of something, whether it's a person's object, event, or idea. It is a way in which a person responds to various aspects of the environment shared by experiences, emotions, and belief. So attitude could be positive, negative, neutral, and influence behavior. So components of attitude includes three: cognitive, affective, and behavioral. For example, knowledge. Cognitive is the knowledge, it's a thought, right? So if you believe that exercise is good for your health, then when you are doing the exercise, it will be reflected in your affective component, that is emotions. You will feel happy when you're doing exercise. And because your emotions are positive about the exercise, it will be reflected in your behavior. That means regularly you will be doing the exercise. Your behavior, your attitude will be positive towards exercise. So this is how attitude is built. Similarly, if in your knowledge cognitive component, you have this thoughts, you are having the thought or knowledge which says that dogs could bark, right? Then the emotion component will have fear when you will see the dog. And in your behavior, you will start running after seeing the dog. So your behavior is impacted because of the cognitive and affective component. And your attitude of towards the dog is going to change because of it. Right? Then we have ego states. I am giving access to Mike. If you have any query, you could ask. Yes, please. Any query, any question? Should I move to the next unit?
मैम
एटीट्यूड का मतलब समझा हिंदी में।
एटीट्यूड के 3 कंपोनेंट्स होते हैं।
एटीट्यूड
ठीक है?
का मतलब मैम, खाली एटीट्यूड का मतलब जो डेफिनेशन आपने समझाई, डेफिनेशन का मतलब बता दो मीनिंग क्या है वो।
एटीट्यूड की डेफिनेशन का मीनिंग बता दूं? दिस इज व्हाट यू आर सेइंग?
हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
ठीक है? ओके। माय स्क्रीन इज विजिबल?
हाँ जी।
देखो, attitude basically means a refers to person's evaluation of something. इसका मतलब it is a way you think or feel about something. अब वो फीलिंग आपकी एक पर्सन की तरफ भी हो सकती है, किसी ऑब्जेक्ट की तरफ भी हो सकती है, किसी आइडिया की तरफ भी हो सकती है, किसी इवेंट की तरफ भी हो सकती है, राइट? वो फीलिंग आपकी पॉजिटिव भी हो सकती है, नेगेटिव भी हो सकती है, न्यूट्रल भी हो सकती है, बट उस फीलिंग से आपका जो बिहेवियर होगा वो इन्फ्लुएंस होगा। इज दिस करेक्ट? नाउ यू आर एबल टू रिलेट? सो
हाँ जी,
इट
हाँ
इज
जी।
अ वे। एटीट्यूड क्या है? एक वे है जिसमें इंडिविजुअल रिस्पॉन्ड करता है अपने एनवायरनमेंट के अराउंड जो चीजें चल रही है उसकी तरफ। अब वो चीजें क्या हो सकती हैं? ऑब्जेक्ट, पर्सन, इवेंट, आइडिया, कुछ भी हो सकता है। सो इट्स अ वे ऑफ थिंकिंग, इट्स अ वे ऑफ फीलिंग अबाउट समथिंग। नाउ इट इज क्लियर?
ठीक है मैम।
It's a
Thank you.
mental tendency, right?
यस मैम,
Any
यस
other
मैम।
question?
मैम
Any other question? Should I move to the next topic? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm taking access to mic and I hope my slides are visible. And we're moving to next point. Okay. So the next is Unit 3, that is ego states. Here in brief, I will be talking about ego states, transactional analysis, life positions, tropes, game analysis, Johari window, need of understanding, transactional analysis. So there are various tools of analyzing and managing interpersonal behavior. What is interpersonal? We have intra and inter. So I always use this thing so that students are able to recall. When we say inter-school competition, one school is competing with other. When we say intra-school competition, that means within school some groups are competing. So interpersonal behavior is when one person is communicating with other person. And intrapersonal behavior is when one person is communicating with himself or herself, right? So there are different tools in which using which you could manage interpersonal behavior. They are ego states, life positions, psychological games, strokes, and Johari window. Using this, we will be explaining, right? Very simple thing is, what is transaction? When you interact with someone, there is a social transaction. One person is going to give you the response and other person is going to say something, right? Like this it happens. So there are two components. One is transaction stimulus, second is transaction response. So If you start the communication, it is a transaction stimulus. And if the other person receives and says something, it is a transaction response. So it is based on the Sigmund Freud's psychometric theory of childhood experiences in the late 1950s. Eric Berne developed transactional analysis theory. It's a psychoanalytic theory and a therapy method that helps understand interpersonal behavior and analyze social interaction between people. So, psychoanalysis theory is based on the belief that man is encouraged more by the unforeseen forces than the conscious logical thought. So, Freud believed that most of the things that is happening in your life is not because of the things that are happening in your conscious level. It is because of certain things that are there in your unconscious level, at your unconscious level. Ego state is at the core of transactional analysis. It is given by Eric Berne. The major work is by Eric Berne and Paul Fedrin. Ego state basically refers to pattern of behavior. So Dr. Eric Berne, he says that there are some common pattern of behavior that individual follows in most of the situation, right? So whatever you could see in their behavior or reaction is based on their past experiences and feelings. So there are three types of ego states that we will be discussing. One is parent ego state, then we have adult ego state, then we have child ego state. Parent ego refers to personality attribute of values or attitude. It is a pattern of behavior that a person has taken from the parent-like figure, like teacher, father, mother, brother, or some person who was elderly at their home. And they copied, the same behavior was copied by the child. So either someone makes decision for you or they show protection or care. Two things are what parents are doing. So one is nurturing parent ego and second is critical parent ego. So there are certain people, here we are not talking about parent or child, we are talking about employees who are working in the organization. Some employees shows nurturing parent ego. That means they show empathy, they show comfort, they show protection towards other. For example, they always say, what can I do to help you? So parents are there to help us, right? Some people in the organization show critical parent ego. That means they blame. They give unconstructive criticism. And they always respond with should or would. You must submit your assignment by evening. It is more like giving an order. So it's a critical parent ego state using through which a person is speaking. Then we have adult ego state. So how are adults? They behave more logical, problem solving, rational decision maker. So logical thinking, thoughtful conversation and factual discussions are the cornerstones of adult ego state, and it is from the facts, not feelings and emotions. Last, we have child ego state. So how child behaves? Spontaneous, suddenly impulsive, very creative, very emotional. So we have happy child and a destructive child, two categories. So again, we are not talking about a child, we are talking about employees who are working in the organization. So people operating in this state act emotionally and make impulsive decisions. So people or employees with parent ego are always seen in the organization talking about rules, do's, don'ts, demonstrating, teaching, and truths. People operating from adult ego in the organization are seen talking about rationality. They are figuring it out, estimating, evaluating. And the people or employees in the organization who works with child ego, they are more creative. They are very emotional. They are very spontaneous and impulsive. Now there are various types of transaction. So left hand side, you could see that this is person one, parent, adult, child ego. This is person two, parent, adult, child ego. Three types of ego states are there, right? So stimulus is when one person one, give me 1 minute, when the person one communicates with the person number two. So it's a stimulus that they are passing. And what kind of response they are getting is R. So this is how this diagram works. Now, transaction is not only verbal. Stimulus or response is not only verbal. It is also non-verbal. Body language, face expression, what all you are doing, that all is added into a transaction. And transactions are from interactions that develop early in life, right? Depending upon different ego states, a person could involved in various transactions, which could be either complementary, non-complementary, ulterior, and gallows. Complementary transactions are the most appropriate healthy transactions that indicate healthy human relationships. So they are effective, complete communication. So what you will be able to see in complementary transactions that there are parallel line. So this both the lines are parallel. And when the lines will be conflicting, that means they will be crossing each other. We call those transactions as non-complementary transactions. First, we will be discussing the 8 complementary transactions. First one is adult to adult transaction. It is the most satisfactory transaction. It involves rational, logical, and objective decisions. It is the best type of a communication where the conflicts will be minimum. For example, have you finished your job? Supervisor is asking. Rational question. Employee saying, yes, sir, I finished it long back and it has already been delivered to assembly session. Again, very logical answer. So, no conflict, adult to adult ego state, adult to adult transaction. Then we have adult to parent transaction. So, if it is coming from the nurturing parent ego, communication will be smooth. If it is coming from a critical parent ego state, then it will be little bit, we could see a little bit conflict. For example, employee saying, have you seen my file? Rational question, right? Adult to parent. And employee was saying, no, but I can help you find it. So it is a nurturing parent ego state, no conflict. Third is adult to child. This transaction, complementary, no conflict, but generally not seen in work premises. Why? For example, employee X says, how are you? And employee Y responds, oh, thanks for asking, I am doing great. So it is a kiddish behavior, so not accepted in the organization. Though communication will be successful. Then we have parent to parent ego state. So if a manager uses reward, criticism, and rules, then we call it parent to parent transaction. The transaction can be beneficial if the employee supports the other person. Otherwise, two will get into a competition and both will try to push their own ideas. For example, supervisor is saying you must not unnecessarily experiment with things. So he is telling do's and don'ts. So it's a parent ego state. Subordinate is saying great things don't happen without experiments. So he is also telling do's and don'ts, again parent ego state. 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. Sorry. Then we have parent to adult transaction. So this stimulus uses overbearing language, but gets countered with logical reply. So there is no conflict, but it is an overbearing language, right? Like employee X is saying, you should stretch straight, parent ego. Employee Y say, I have a backache. So he gave a logical reason, right? So it's a parent to adult transaction. Then we have child to child transaction. Obviously, there won't be any conflict because lines are parallel, but in workplace, it is not suitable, right? For example, employee X is saying management should always think in favor of their employee, and employee Y say, if management doesn't think about us, we will do the same towards them. So both are talking about something that is kiddish. not for organizational goals. Then we have child to parent transaction. So employee saying, to whom should I submit the file after completing it? Manager is saying you must always follow the chain of command for any official paper. So it's talking from parent ego state. And why employee is talking from child ego? Because you are an employee and you are asking the pretty things from your manager. Parent to child. So in short run, there won't be any conflict, but in long run, employee won't be able to develop. He will remain underdeveloped. For example, employee X is saying, I am feeling under the weather today. I must go and see doctor. And employee Y is saying, oh, I will take care of you. So in organizations, you could not have that kind of emotion. So there is no conflict though, but in long run, it is not a good way of having transactions. Then we have non-complementary or cross transactions. They occur when the person who initiates a transaction does not get the response from the expected ego state. Give me 1 minute. Okay. So non-complementary transactions are those transactions which are not having parallel lines, right? So conflict could be seen in these transactions. For example, supervisor says, how many units have you made till now? And to which operator is saying, do not inquire frequently. I will inform you after completing it. So such transactions could take you towards dispute, right? Once the transaction is crossed, the result is unrest, dissatisfaction, leading to arguments, conflict between the interacting parties. Then we have ulterior transactions. They are double meaning transactions. They are something which are at two levels. One is your psychological level, and second is your social level, right? Social messages there, and then psychological messages there. For example, Kunal is coming late to office and supervisor is asking, what time is it, Kunal? So obviously supervisor don't intend to ask the time from the Kunal, but she wants to mention that Kunal is late to office, right? So ulterior transactions occur when three or four more ego states interact at the same point of time. So it is at two levels, social messages there and psychological messages there. Then we have gallows transaction, which include unnecessarily laughs and smiles on the heel of the statement, which is painful to the individual. So if some student is showing stupid behavior, teacher is amused. So this is gallows transaction. Out of all the transaction, adult to adult transaction is most effective and better transaction from the organization's perspective. Why we need to understand transaction analysis? One, that this TA is a model for people to work towards autonomy, empowerment, where they can choose to live the way they want to and not act as if they are controlled by past events or message. Also, an understanding of TA can help a person change their life scripts, choose to rewrite it without looking on the inappropriate behaviors of the past. Now, what is life position? The concept is given by Thomas Harris. So we are getting into a little bit of psychology. So a child, when born, is like a clean slate, right? And in the process of growing up, he or she wades through a lot of experiences and emotions, right? And based on these experiences, they make assumptions about the self-worth or how significant people are there in the environment. So life positions tend to remain more firmer than the ego state. Why? Because during the formative years, we make decisions about ourselves, our world, and people around us. And these decisions get built upon based on various strokes or acknowledgement that we get from our parents and primary caregiver. So one life position get decided, it derives our pattern of thoughts, emotions, and behavior. So the positions are required very clearly, that is the childhood, and stay throughout our life, right? Because these positions are developing our individual perception, which could be positive or negative. So in life position given by Thomas Harris, we have 4 quadrants. First quadrant explains that I am okay, I am not okay. And second is explaining you are okay and you are not okay, right? So I am okay and you are okay is a healthy position, right? Whereas I am okay, I am not okay, you are okay is one down position. I am okay, you are not okay is one up position. And neither I am okay nor you are okay is a hopeless position. So ideal situation, healthy position is I am okay and you are okay. Here the manager working in this position, he feels comfortable delegating authority. वो easily delegate कर देता है authority. Why? Because he feel other person is okay. As they have confidence in themselves and also their subordinates. So this position is based on adult ego state. Whereas a position where a person feels that I am okay, but you are not okay. So here for the manager, delegation becomes challenging. He feels if he is going to delegate some task to someone else, it is a threat because he's or she is unable to trust others. So these are the individual who possesses a rebellious child ego, right? Then we have I am not okay, but you are okay, right? A person who feels that they are not okay, they feels less power or less, right? So manager working in this positions are unpredictable, very erratic. They use their bad feelings for making excuse about everything that is happening around them. And last are the people who feel neither they are okay nor others are okay. So for them, delegating the authority, making the decisions, taking the decision in the first place itself becomes very difficult because they are uninterested, hopeless, frustrated. They don't feel they are okay. They don't feel others are okay, right? So the best position is obviously I am okay and you are okay because it is healthy acceptance of self. It demonstrates respect for others, likely to result in better communication. It is expected to result in better performance behavior. Then we have stroke analysis. So basically, in our formative years, when throughout our childhood, there are certain acknowledgements that we have received, either verbal or non-verbal. Like if I'm doing something and my parents are smiling, they are hugging, they are clapping. So this is a positive way they are acknowledging that whatever I am doing is right. And sometimes they are scolding, sometimes they are doing thumbs down. So they are giving me certain hints that whatever I am doing is not right. So Eric Burney described strokes as a unit of recognition. Unit of recognition means that one person is acknowledging the other by the act of speech. It could be verbal, it could be non-verbal. So your strokes could be positive, negative, verbal, non-verbal, conditional, unconditional. So when you tell someone that positive thing, it is a positive stroke. When you tell someone that is negative, right, it is a negative stroke. When you tell someone verbally, right, it's a verbal stroke. And when through actions like thumbs up, thumb down, maybe you're patting their back, all these are the way of giving or acknowledging a person, recognizing a person through a non-verbal stroke. Then we have conditional and non-conditional. Conditional strokes basically means when you say you like the person's dance or cooking. So you have added a condition. So when I say this particular student is very good in OB, so that means the student is good in OB. So I have added a condition. But when I say this person is good, very good, it's an unconditional, right? So telling someone that you love them is unconditional positive stroke, whereas telling someone that you love their cooking is a conditional positive stroke. Throughout life, this communication develops our personality, informs our sense of self-worth, and defines our belief in ourselves and the world and others. Depending upon the type of strokes that we have received before our adulthood, we end up in one of the life positions, like I am okay, you are okay, and others. If the strokes we receive through childhood are appropriate to our age and stage of development and are a balanced mix of positive and negative as needed, when we are likely to grow up, we sense I am okay and you are okay. In transactional analysis, this life position describes the balanced emotion and cognitive outlook of life. Then we have psychological games. So they are duplex transactions, right? Where a person tries to play game. For example, yes and but. So when you ask someone to do something, they will say, yes, yes, I will do it, but I have something. So they insert some reasons for not doing it. So there is no meaning of saying yes in front. So such transactions are the part of psychological games. Last very important topic we have is Johari window. So it's a framework that is developed by two psychologists, Joseph and Harrington, and it is a widely used model to understand and train self-awareness and biases for personal development and to improve communication, group dynamics, team development, interpersonal relationship, and intergroup relationship. Again, it has a four quadrant which talks about knowing yourself and knowing others, right? First quadrant is we will be talking about open area, then blind, hidden, and unknown. Open area is anything about yourself that you are willing to share with others. So it describes that it's a work area which describes that information that is open to you and that is also known to others, right? So this is a space where good communication and cooperation occurs free from mistrust, confusion, and conflict, right? So when you give feedback, it could increase this area horizontally to reduce the blind spot. While sharing one feeling, you could extend this area vertically by reducing the hidden area. What does that mean? So if you horizontally expand it, blind spot को reduce करके आप इसे expand कर सकते हो और hidden area को reduce करके आप इसे expand कर सकते हो. And this is area is the best position where teams could work, right? So by giving feedback, if you give feedback, you could reduce the blind spot. And if you give disclosures, you could reduce the hidden area. Next is blind area. Blind area includes the information that people know about you, but you don't know about yourself, right? It could be certain habits. If you have some habits of taking everyone's food, so you might not be doing it consciously, you might not be knowing about it. But people around you might be annoyed because of this. So they are annoyed because something you are doing that is unintentional. So this area is also referred to as ignorance because one issues are not known to the person. So by getting feedback, you could reduce this area and increase your open area. Then we have hidden area. We all have some certain secrets. So a true feelings or attitude of an individual may remain a secret from others, right? So maybe some hidden agendas are there, manipulative intentions are there, maybe fear is there because of which you have kept certain secrets. So when you're working in a team, it becomes very difficult to deal with this. So individuals who are reluctant to share information may affect their relationship. So by disclosing information, you could reduce the hidden area. Then we have unknown area. This is a region which is not even known to you or known to others. So they are hidden talents. So it's a subconscious information. You don't know that you are good at, AI or maybe some other talent. Even others are not knowing it. So by exploring yourself, you could have an understanding of those potential areas. So in jury window, there are two interpersonal processes which works. One is disclosure, second is feedback. So if you use disclosure and feedback, you are able to redistribute the awareness and you are able to change the size of four quadrants. How? You could reduce your hidden self by disclosing information. You could reduce your blind area by giving or seeking feedback from others. The extent to which individual discloses personal feeling and information must always be at the individual's discretion. Organization culture and working atmosphere significantly influence team members' preparedness to disclose their hidden selves. The jury window serves as an essential tool to analyze employees' potential, work and organizational relation, and improve the team performance. Feedback could reduce the blind area and moving out of your comfort zone. If you are able to decrease your unknown area, that is again possible. Innovation leads to learning, and learning contributes to the growth and development. Therefore, the organization must explore new possibilities or diversify into new products and means of production through proper research and development to increase market share and profitability. So they are just trying to tell you that even at an organizational level also, we have certain unknown areas. So companies should explore it. Same thing, I won't be repeating it. I've already done it. So we could start with unit 4. I'm giving you access to mic. If you have any queries, you could ask. Any query? Yes, anyone has any query?
Ma'am, I want
Should I
to
move to
ask
the next
about
unit?
the types of stocks. Could you please repeat it again? Types of stock in 1 and 2
Types of
minutes.
strokes?
Yeah.
Okay. Types of strokes basically means stroke क्या होता है? It's a unit of recognition. ठीक है? Unit of recognition. So, if I say you are good, I give you positive feedback. तो मैं आपको unit of recognition कैसे दे रही हूँ? Positive. So it's a positive stroke. If whatever you are doing, I am saying no, सही नहीं किया, this is wrong, that is wrong, this is a negative stroke. So my unit of recognition is negative. Then we have verbal stroke and non-verbal stroke. So when I'm using words and I'm telling you good or bad, positive or negative, it's a verbal stroke. But when I'm through my body language, body gestures, maybe I'm patting at your back, all these are non-verbal strokes. Then they are conditional and unconditional. For example, I say, I like your dancing, I like your cooking. So I have added a condition. So cooking to I like, otherwise I don't like you. That is also a possibility now. So I like cooking, I like your dancing. That is the condition that we have added. And when we say that I like everything about that person, it's an unconditional stroke. Now it is clear?
Yes, it's clear, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Ma'am,
Okay.
ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am,
Yes.
what is the meaning of hidden area and unknown area?
Hidden area basically means there are certain things that we don't know about ourselves, but people know about us. For example, some people have certain bad habits, like they call at night also at
Eh,
workplace. ठीक है? वो किसी भी एम्प्लॉय को नाइट में कॉल कर लेते हैं, लंबी लंबी बात करते रहते हैं. Other people might not be liking this, but the person is not doing it intentionally. उनको नहीं feel हो रहा कि they are doing something wrong. So this is a hidden area that they don't know that this is wrong. Or maybe they're poking their nose every time, but they don't know. Unconsciously they are doing. So this is a hidden area. So when you
Yes,
take feedback from others, you are able to reduce your hidden area. Is it clear now?
yes,
Anything else? Should I move to the next topic?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yes.
can we have a break?
Okay, we
Like,
can take 15 minutes break, but not beyond that because we have only completed unit 3. We are left with remaining 9 units, you know. So you
okay,
just computed 6 more units are left.
okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so we will be having 15 minutes break. I will be starting around 1:32. Okay, okay.